Yes. All right. Welcome to Live with Ramit tonight. We're talking love and money. Are you guys ready to talk about love and money? And how many of you heard, oh my God, they're already here. Okay. Heard about this on the announcement that I made on IG stories. Are you guys ready to hear about love and money? Yes. Anyone who knows who sings this? Well, let's see if we have anyone who grew up in the 90s, the only time where there was actual good music. All right. Tonight we're going to have a soundtrack backed by 112. Let's go. That's right. All right. Let's see when our friends join us tonight. Tonight we are talking about love and money. A lot of you argue about money with your partners. A lot of you debate. A lot of you have no vision together. Oh, why'd you spend so much money on iced tea? I'm so angry at you for your PS5. No, we have a different way of using IWT to live a rich life together, love and money. So tonight we have some guests. There they are, Kevin and Laura. Welcome. How you doing?
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
I'm so excited to see you both. So first of all, welcome. This is going to be super informal. I saw your video. I absolutely loved it. And I just want to do a quick introduction. Kevin, and is it Laura or Lara?
Laura.
Laura, great. Well, welcome. I know that you're in Florida, and I know that you have some slightly different ways of looking at money. So we're going to talk about it tonight. Low pressure, see if I can help you a little bit. And I just first of all want to ask, what made you want to come live and talk about love and money today?
Well, I think we just really love everything you put out. We're like, if we can get help, between the two of us from someone like you, we were like, we're on that. So we
need to get out. What we've been doing has not exactly been working, so we needed to get out of our comfort zone.
We need a good third party. Yeah, a good objective third party to get us, whip us into shape. So.
Awesome. Okay, well, then my next most important question is, have you guys ever heard Cupid by 112?
Part of my middle school dance.
Wait, middle school? Oh, shit, you're right.
Sorry,
You're right. You did date me, but yes, you're so right. All right, well, I could already tell, since you guys know what that is, that you guys are on the same IWT page. I love it. And I did love your energy because I will tell you, I put out the request for some couples to talk about love and money. Tons of people wrote me and said, my partner is not on the same page. We fight about money constantly, but most of them did not want to come and talk about it live. So I think it shows a lot of courage that you're both willing to do it. And like, you were both happy. Every time I've seen you, you've been smiling. So I always like to start.
We're like slightly nervous about doing all this, but this will be, we're excited.
No reason to be nervous at all, because I would say today we're just here to talk about your vision of a rich life. And I'm first curious to hear individually, what would your rich life look like? And I want to start with Kevin, and then I want to go to Laura. So this is just you, not the couple. We'll talk about you both together, but just you. What would your rich life look like?
My rich life looks a lot like my current life with regards to what I have, cars that drive and clothes that I can wear, but convenience, not going on Facebook Marketplace for goods, not having to search through Craigslist for things, just being able to buy things at full price, but also lots of taking care of friends and family members and being able to have the human experience with those around me and include them when they may not be able to have the money to do so.
Great. And let me ask you a couple more probing questions on that, because I love hearing you say what you want and don't want. You don't want to crawl around on Facebook Marketplace and have to save $13 on a lawnmower. Great. You're never going to have to do that, okay? When you say you want to share the human experience, what is that? Is that taking kids or family on a vacation? Is it sending somebody to college? What are we talking about here?
Yes, so those are great examples. Those are all of it. So we have two children already. So having family members, brothers, aunts, and uncles come with us if we go to Disney, if we are flying on a cabin to Tennessee to celebrate New Year's, we want to be able to say, "Hey guys, we got everything. Everything's been planned out. Tickets have been booked.
Yeah.
Just show up, just make the time, and I'd love for you. We just want people to be there and share it with us."
Love it. Okay, fantastic. Do you think that you currently have that life, or is that something that you need to work towards?
So that is definitely something that we need to work towards.
Okay, great. Perfect. All right, awesome. Laura, what's your rich life?
I think my rich life is very similar. Like we're similar in what I think we both want. I think I would definitely enjoy like more luxury things. Like I've always dreamed of having a luxury level car or
Like what?
being able to, I always wanted to, I don't know why I'm looking
Yeah,
at you.
like what?
Yeah. I don't know why I looked at him I don't know why I looked at him for that, but I've always wanted like a Mercedes SUV. I just think they are so cool looking, and I've always just wanted one. I test drove one, and I was having a really bad weekend, and Kevin took me to test drive one, and I was like, yeah, this is it. Yeah, I think just being able to freely travel too for me, like feeling like I could go on a trip and plan regular fun trips for us as a couple or, with our kids or with our family. And I think I also love the idea of property, like having places like we could go that belong to us as well. Like let's spend the weekend at the beach house, like things like that. So but generally speaking, I think also the convenience, like we literally just bought a bunch of Nespresso pods on Facebook Marketplace for like a really good deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have gone to, I guess, an espresso store, but like we got this really amazing deal. So, things like that where like I can go and get a full price thing, if I wanted to or needed to, stuff like
Perfect. Okay, I love it. I just want to ask, I loved hearing you talk about that Mercedes. I love seeing you light up. And one of the things I truly enjoy is watching people get specific about what their rich life is. And we can even see it in your body language, a little bit of reluctance to say it out loud as if, right, as if we should be guilty about the things we want. But I think in IWT hands, not only do I love hearing it, I want to encourage you to go for it and to show you how to get it. So I'm extremely interested to hear that, Kevin, you once arranged a test drive. What do you think about this Mercedes dream that Laura has?
I love if she's happy and we can make it happen, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, without a doubt. I don't, it's not something important to me, but what's important to her, obviously, if we can fulfill, I definitely want to.
Okay, great. Laura, do you agree or do you disagree?
I agree.
Okay. Is Kevin supportive of your vision of a rich life?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think like sometimes Kevin doesn't necessarily, you can like chime in if I'm wrong, but
Oh, please.
I think that Kevin doesn't necessarily, I enjoy luxury items. Like I enjoy luxury things. I like, the idea of having a luxury car or having like a walk-in closet that I got custom done at Crate and Barrel, or not Crate and Barrel, the Container Store or something. Like those things are like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And those things aren't important to him. So I know he supports me, and he would love for me to have that. But I know that he just like, I mean, I don't need that. So it's not that he doesn't support me. It's just trying to find a way that you know, we can both get things that are important to us. Because I support that all of his dreams and stuff, but there are things that he wants, but they may not necessarily be as important to me personally. But like, yeah.
Does it bother each of you that the other person doesn't get the things that you love, like that luxury walk-in closet? Laura, does it bother you that Kevin doesn't get it, even though he might support it, but he doesn't get it?
I wouldn't say like bothers me, but I'd say sometimes it's frustrating. I'd
Tell
say
me
like,
more.
and that's a, well, it's okay. So another example is Kevin, like I really enjoy a really nice dining experience, like getting the
Which
ingredients
I know
or,
you do, Ramit, as well.
yeah,
Yeah, you're speaking my language when you're saying these things. I'm like, yep, got it, understood. But
yeah.
Kevin, for that matter, you too. When you're saying travel, I'm like, yep, I hear you. So I love hearing this. Keep going, Laura.
So I really enjoy a good culinary experience, like whether it's making it myself and like spending like half a day like preparing it in the store and getting it, or I'm going out to a really nice meal somewhere. Um, that is important to me and I really enjoy it. But Kevin like could care less. Like he could just get a rotisserie chicken and be happy. Like
Uh-huh.
we're so different. And so sometimes I'm like, I want to have a nice meal, and
It
he'll be like, I
frustrates.
don't
She
really
gets
need it.
frustrated. Yes.
And then, but it's like, what? Like, what? I don't understand it. Or like, sometimes it can hurt my feelings if I made a meal, and then he's like, oh, I don't really like, um, whatever.
I don't just.
No, he doesn't really do that. That was me exaggerating, but you know, things
What?
like that.
Tell me about a difficult discussion that you recently had, and I'd love to start with Kevin. Kevin, where you felt it was a difficult discussion about money because Laura didn't get something that you wanted, and then Laura, I'm going to come to you and ask you the same question.
Sure. So that's something actually that we kind of led into when we're coming up on this discussion was we want to kind of start a dialogue with ourselves so we know. But that would have been that for gifts, I don't like things. It doesn't make me happy. Gifts, things, what experiences make me happy, but I would much rather have money that I can spend on someone, like give me a gift card and I derive my happiness from maybe going to spend that money on the kids or take the kids to a trampoline park or a family charter fishing trip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like things. It annoys me getting things when I made myself clear that I would much rather have money to spend on someone else or to go do an experience, because then you're giving me the gift then more for yourself than for me. And it's an odd, I don't want to call it selfish because it is selfless giving gifts, but the purpose of it for me isn't met. It's then for you.
And did you have this conversation with Laura recently where you said, hey, I don't actually like that gift. Why did you give that to me?
Not in those specific terms, because we haven't been married just 2 years yet, so there's time for that discussion. But I'm still, we're still buffering things. But yeah, so I haven't said it like that. I'll wait till after a gift, till maybe the heat's off of that exact moment, so I can say it in more vague or general terms as to not hurt feelings, but still get my point across.
Okay, very interesting. We're going to come back to that in just a second. We're going to put a pin in what you just said. Everybody remember what Kevin just said, the exact words. Laura, can you tell us about a difficult discussion you've had about money? Maybe it's food, maybe it's luxury something. Tell us about that.
I say like we recently were just chatting about like our own budgets, like our play money budget, like money that is kind of like we have money to pay for our essential bills and like grocery bills or whatever, but like what do we want to budget for ourselves? And I think I initiated that conversation because I think like we just don't really know how to do that. And so that was like I think like a recent time where we were like talking about about that.
How about we actually role play it out right now? So let's pretend we're in that conversation. What did you guys say to each other? Just look at each other and abbreviate the conversation for us. We need to talk. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we need to talk.
Okay.
I feel like, we have like all these line items, but I feel like kind of paralyzed sometimes when I'm out shopping and I know I work hard. Like we both like make good money.
Yeah.
And I feel like we just have like all this money left over at the end of the month where we're not really allocating it. And I want to feel like free to, like I was at Target, I didn't feel like I could just pick up something that I wanted or needed. Not that it was extravagant, but like, what is it? Like, what can we do? Or like, I don't really know what that looks like for us.
So what do you think is a good amount?
So this is where I say, I don't know.
Let's say, well,
Keep going.
So what do you think about maybe like 250, like to start, and then we kind of see what goes from there? Is it like an ongoing monthly thing? Does this include the hair? Does this include the ongoing expenses?
Well, why don't we open up the master? We put everything. We use our credit card, so like we could just open it up and like look and see kind of what I'm generally.
Okay.
But we're
Okay,
both
let's pause there.
You know what I mean?
Is that how the conversation went?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So it ended with like, how much do you want? How much do you think you need?
Yeah.
And then she felt kind of, I think, guilty that. I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
No, keep going.
I think she felt guilty to really ask for a number because my number is much lower, and so I think she feels.
Then I feel like guilty or like extravagant.
She's asking for all these extra things,
which isn't
truly. I'm happy, like whatever we need, and we're obviously, this is extra disposable income that we have for these things.
And it's not like guilty as in like, he controls all the money and I'm just like, what can I spend? It's like, I know we have other things and I'm just trying to be mindful of other goals that we have, or like, we have also 2 children that we need, that we need to provide for and we think about as well. And just thinking about like how we want to, I'm just trying to be sensitive really. And
so basically she's paralyzed, not willing to act. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but not able or feel like she's able to ask for what she really wants.
Yeah, I think that's hard for me is to just be more assertive and be like, hey, like, and sometimes I don't even know where to start. Like, how do we even figure that amount out? Like, how do I even know? Because I want to be sure I'm saving the right amount. I want to be sure that like I'm putting enough away. And then I know I can do those things, but it just feels like some like weird nebulous.
We're just trying to break it off of a big general ball of money. Like how much do we peel off for this?
So let me ask a couple of questions because I'm hearing so many things that I want to open up here. First of all, I just want to say that hearing the two of you talk and watching you talk to each other, it's very clear that you really care about each other and that you are aligned. You're going the same direction. That is more than many other couples that I have spoken to. And you can see, look at that. You can see it in the body language, the smiles, the sitting close to each other. The fact that, Laura, you ask, like I felt a little hamstrung. And then Kevin, you say, well, like, what do you need? Like, I'm open to anything. You're both coming at it from good intent. And I can hear that. And I think we can all see that. That's amazing. That's the hard work. What I think is there's a couple of unspoken things going on here. So I'm going to ask each of you. Laura, if you were to ask for a number that you wanted, if you were to say it, what would the worst outcome potentially be for you?
I think the worst outcome for me is just Kevin being like, oh, and then me being like, oh my God, like I'm so like, having like him having this reaction that makes me feel bad that I've like maybe shocked him or something. Like because I care so much about him. So the worst anyone ever could say is no, or like absolutely not or whatever. And we don't operate that way. We usually are good at compromising.
What would be and if he says no and you feel terrible, play it out. what happens then? What's the outcome of that?
So, I mean, I'd like to think I'd be a reasonable person and be like, oh yeah, but I think I might have like a, oh well, I need, have like a moment, a real human moment where I'm like get a little,
Defensive.
yeah, maybe a little, and then I'd be like, okay, I mean, sure, like let's negotiate.
Would you then, yeah, work your number lower?
Yeah, I think we would just negotiate after that.
Do you think you might feel resentful, Laura?
Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe a little bit. I think that's probably natural. Like if you ask for something and you like feel like that's like a reasonable thing to ask. If I truly thought it was reasonable and then he were to say, no, and then I'd be like, you know,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
if I were in your position, Laura, I might sit there and say, like, I'm not asking to go out and buy a Mercedes today. I'm talking about shopping at Target, and I know that we have a pool of money that is above and beyond what we need for our day to day. We're saving well, and I have to admit, I'm feeling a little resentful that we're quibbling over $100 here and there when really I know that the numbers we're talking about. I might feel like that if I were you. Is that accurate? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
no, I'd say that's accurate. And I think that's kind of probably how I would phrase it too. Because we try to be really honest, like in like a way that's, void of like really aggressive feelings or anything, like,
Yeah.
hey, you know, that's probably, yeah, accurate.
Okay.
A good
I
way.
think I think that part of coming to a joint agreement for your finances and a rich life is it starts with being intellectually honest with ourselves. So you have to really probe and say, what's the worst that could happen? And I noticed that you're both very delicate with each other and also with yourselves, and that's great. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to unpeel those layers. So, okay, what's the worst, Laura? Well, we might disagree. Okay, and then what? Well, I don't know. Then he might be a little disappointed or something. And then what? Well, I might get resentful, or I might stew on it, or I might whatever. You, Laura, have to know yourself and be candid and honest about that before Kevin can understand and make his own changes. And now I want to talk to Kevin for just a second. So, Kevin, I noticed in your conversation, your role play, Laura came to you and said, hey, we have these line items, but I just didn't feel comfortable at Target. And do you recall what you said back to her?
How much do you want?
Yeah.
Like, what do
So,
you think? How much do you think?
yes, bingo. So, everyone watching, what do you notice about that? Kevin, why did you say that first?
Because knowing Laura, I know that she and her sensitive and, generally stays aware. We have these financial discussions, aware of what our budget is and what it looks like as of extra disposable income. So she's not going to ask for an insane amount of money. And I hate to say ask for, like, but it's our money. So when I say our, like, ask for it, it's just us working together. But she would not ask for a ridiculous amount of money. It would be something reasonable. So it's how much do you want, and if it's a lot, we can have a discussion about that. Or if it's not, if it's little, we can say, okay, like maybe we can actually find room for more. Like
Mhm.
let's go into the budget and try to figure it out, how much more. But it's just kind of that gives us a good starting point so we can work from there. Like a
Okay,
good.
I get that. So, what I'm hearing is positive intent. You're like, look, I understand that Laura is not going to ask for something that we would consider outrageous.
Mhm.
Seems like you have a lot of trust that you've built up with her. So I think that's awesome. I do notice the form of your question. You jump straight to how much. And no matter how positive your intent is, when you ask someone how much do you want, we have a lifetime of invisible scripts that come with that question. I can remember growing up And when we would go and eat out at a pizza restaurant once every 4 to 6 weeks, we would go like this, Dad, can I have 2 quarters? But we wouldn't ask for 4 to play the video games because that would be too much. We've all grown up like, shouldn't ask for that, or what will people think, etc. So you jump straight to the money part because, like me, I'm like, let's just put this in Excel and it'll just work. Cell C2. I already know the answer. Let's just do the math. But what if we slowed it down in order to have a different type of conversation? Kevin, what if you said to Laura, you know what, I'm so glad you asked. And I can understand that we've got a pretty decent amount of savings. And it must feel a little frustrating to go to Target and to be counting $5 here or $10 there. So what would it look like for you, Laura, if you could go to Target and just have an amazing experience? Kevin, why don't you ask Laura that and let's see what happens.
Yes.
How would it feel if you were to be able to go to Target and just have an incredible experience, not have to pick and choose sale items and just get what you want?
Mm-hmm.
How would that feel?
That would feel really great. Should I just like continue the conversation?
Yeah, continue as if it's a real conversation because it actually is.
Okay.
So how would that feel, not having to go to sale items at Target?
Yeah, I mean, that would feel really great. I think like sometimes like obviously we all go to Target and we like remember stuff that we need or whatever, but sometimes there are things I just want to feel like I could just, get like a pair of shoes if I needed them, or, like pick up a pair of jeans for a cute date night or something without feeling like I just, not like afraid, but like worried, or I don't know.
Okay,
Just
but
like
how
where
much?
But yeah, I think it would feel nice. I mean, I think if I could feel like more freedom, I probably wouldn't think about it as much. Like, like where I think, or if I just could just do it, I wouldn't probably actually do it as much as maybe you're worried about or whatever.
Okay. So I know you were mentioning saying not straight to the money. So after that response, obviously from there again, I want to say like I want you to feel that way. Let's make that happen.
That's very much personality too. I think like Kevin's, especially with money, we've had to talk, like he gets very robotic. Like he'll like, it's very almost like this look in your eye, and it almost.
Yeah, because he's running a calculation. He's running a compound interest calculation. I know the math. I know he's like $72 multiplied, rule of 72 times 32 years and a tax advantaged IRA. I get it. You and me are on the same page. But look, you did a great job there. Kevin, she said a word that I want you to zoom into. She just offhandedly mentioned this very emotionally evocative word. It was almost a 9 out of 10. Did you catch that word she said?
I think I heard the word free.
Good. What else?
I don't recall this.
Worried. She said free and worried. I would feel free. And then she said, I don't want you to be worried. It's not like I'm going to spend a ton. Probe on those. Ask her, tell me more. What do you mean by those? I'd love to hear more.
When you say worried and free, but worried first. So what makes you feel worried when you're shopping?
That I'm like being irresponsible, like that I'm like spending money on myself now makes me feel like worried about having enough money for other things that we talk about. Or, if I'm spending money on myself, I'm not maybe spending money on something else that matters, even though I know that it's important for us to have things that we want or that we need. I think I'm also worried about you like looking through and being like, what's this? Or like what we do, like look through and stuff.
Sure.
And
Kevin, ask her why. Why? That's such an open admission saying, why are you worried about that?
Why? Yes. Why are you worried about it?
I don't know. Like, I don't even know if
Is
I
it
know
to,
that answer
like,
for myself, really.
like disappoint or let down or just feel like you're being irresponsible?
I think I just worry that there's not enough money to go around for myself, but I know that there is.
Is it worried about my reaction?
I think
Or is
partly.
it worried something from within you?
I think it's like worried about your reaction because you like are such a low, like, I think you're like, when you don't really care about a lot of like, stuff like that, like nice things, or like you don't need a cute outfit for a date night. Like he's a guy, doesn't like. Well,
Okay,
I know he doesn't think about that. I'm not.
Wait. Hold on. Before we go on, I just want to admire his shirt. That's a very nice T-shirt you have on, Kevin. Respect to the T-shirt. So whatever he's wearing looks great, and you too, Laura. So you guys you're not looking too shabby
Remember the
tonight.
sale I got it like 2 months ago. J. Crew
Oh
at
my
Black
gosh.
Friday.
Okay, good.
Remember those,
Sorry.
remember those
So
colors
why?
she was on?
Keep going. Why?
So the worried, like, why are you worried?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like trying to figure out like why I would feel so trapped when I'm out. I think it's because I like had so well we talked about this too, like so we've been married for a year and a couple months and I did my own spending. Like I only had to answer to me when I went shopping at the end of the day. And like I felt a lot more free. It was just me, like I didn't honestly, I mean I didn't have a whole bunch of like big savings plans either. And I think combining our accounts and we've talked about this too before, like combining our accounts and not feeling
So
like
is that
as
still
accessible, like
So
where
is that still the why? Like, are you trying to dig down into the root of it?
yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
just trying to talk through it because
Yeah.
I honestly don't know where that fear comes from, but I think
Did you have that fear before we got married?
not as much, but it's
So-
but it's because I think it has something to do with just like not wanting to disappoint anybody, like that's probably part of it is like my approval, like my seeking approval with and spending money is something we do together. And if it was just me spending money on stuff, I didn't really have anybody that I was really accountable to or like that I was doing this with.
Kevin, ask her what's the worst that she thinks could happen.
What's the worst that could happen that you think could happen? Like, say you spend an extravagant amount at wherever you go close at South Moon Under.
Mm-hmm.
You spend what you come home, like I see it, and like, what do you think is the worst? What's the worst?
You know what I think it is?
What? Tell me.
I was just thinking like it's hard to be on this too because I'm like trying to be real with him and a little nervous and
What's that?
I
You're doing
know.
great.
And like all these, I like can see all these comments and stuff
Don't
too. I'm
worry
like
about
trying not to look or whatever, but like when my company went through that really big, like I had some stuff happen with my business, and I think I was like really fearful of. I never had that kind of money trouble before, where like
Oh, when you couldn't pay the.
yeah, I had to take out a business loan and all those things.
So
And
you
I think
want to spend the money, but you're also paralyzed by that fear that something like
yeah,
that.
I think I'd never felt that fearful about spending money before.
So
and then
what's the worst that could happen that you think could happen when you spend that money?
I think the worst thing, like this like fictional place I go to, is that I'm not going to be able to pay
We have all that.
all those bills.
I
You know what I
understand.
mean? Like I think I'd go to that place in my mind. I think maybe after, because that happened right before we got married.
Yeah.
Like, and then that whole summer was really hard too. Like in the spring, all happened, and over the summer. And I think maybe that and then rolling over into getting married and doing the whole combining finances and trying to do everything together. I think it just, and then also want to make sure that I'm meeting our family needs And then like, I think it's, yeah, it's a combination. I think that's probably the core root of it, or like where that started, because before that, I felt like I was like, probably, I didn't really have a whole lot of worry. And
So fear that you're not going to be able to meet your obligations, but also kind of sharing that with disappointing or letting down, meet us and our financial goals.
yeah,
Okay.
because I think I never thought about that when the business was like going really well and I had great income. And then I had this like period of time where I was like terrified, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I've had a hard time like coming out of that, because that was all on me. And if like nothing, if it was all on me, right? Well, yeah. I think I'm having
by marrying your sugar daddy.
Okay, let me pause here. First of all, wow, thank you for being so candid. This is amazing. And you are uncovering things about yourself that I can see you didn't make the connection with before. So here are some of the things that I'm hearing, Laura. I'm hearing that it started off with a question about Target. And Laura, if you had a blank check to go to Target, what is the amount that we're talking about here, that even if you got the jeans and the shoes, what are we talking about you might spend at one time at Target? How much?
I think like it's only a few $100s like that I would probably spend,
Great.
because it's not anything crazy.
Few $100. And in the scheme of your overall financial picture, is that a lot of money or is that a little bit of money?
I'd say it's a little bit in the grand scheme of our big picture finances.
Yeah, our bottom line isn't shifting.
Yeah.
With a few $100. It's
Great,
not...
great, perfect. So what I'm hearing, Laura, is it started off with Target, and as we unpeel the layers, we realize that you've had some financial experiences, maybe you might call it financial trauma in the past with previous financial situation. You also had a financial transition recently where you got married, and suddenly you went from being relatively carefree on your own, nobody judging, and also nobody to be obligated to financially, to suddenly you have the complexity of combining finances. That's new and that's hard. I've gone through that myself. I'm still going through that with my wife. You also have someone that you don't want to disappoint. And so you take this cocktail of different ingredients, and we don't like to dig in and interrogate ourselves. So what happens is we suppress them and we ask a question about Christmas gifts or Target, and it's not really about Target, is it? It's about much more than that. If you had to describe what your real Target question is, Laura, in one sentence, what would you say? What is the real question for you?
Can you say that again? I think I'm just trying to process everything.
Yeah, no problem. You originally asked Kevin, I feel a little constricted when I go to Target, and I don't like to feel like I have to ask every time. That question was about Target, but I think your real question is much bigger than that. If you had to ask that question to Kevin, and you go deeper than Target, what is the real question that you want to ask Kevin about money in your relationship? Look at him and ask him the questions that you want to ask him.
I don't know if I.
Does it start with maybe how do we feel X together? How do we plan Y together? Or I really want to feel X? What is something that you want to share with him?
I want to feel free, like the freedom to get things that I need, but also things that I want. So I want to figure out how we can budget appropriately so that I don't feel trapped, or not trapped, but like I don't feel, I can feel, yeah, just like the freedom to get those, to do those things for myself. Let's figure out how to do that.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Laura, how does that feel to say that out loud?
Yeah, it feels really good. I honestly don't think that I've ever like said that where I had something that's like, this is something that I want and that I need.
Yeah.
And let's just not like complaining about it, but saying like, this is something that brings me joy and that makes me feel happy, or that would make me feel really good, and asking for it and just being like, hey, let's just figure this out.
Yeah, I love that. I can see the change, Laura, in you asking for it and not adding caveats or backpedaling or saying, well, it's not that I need this, but, it's just, you know what? I want to feel free. Look
Oh,
at
you
that.
got me, Ramit.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got
Now,
me.
now, Kevin, one thing I love is that you did not first respond by saying, okay, but how much?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
because
I know you want to do it. It's at the tip of your tongue. I can see it. Just don't do it. Kevin, let me ask you a question now.
yeah,
You heard Laura say that if she went all out at Target, she might spend as she described it, a few $100 with some jeans and shoes, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Laura, I'm going to ask you to just sit tight and listen for this part because I want to talk directly to Kevin. Kevin, how often do you think she might spend a few $100 at Target?
every single time she goes. I'm just kidding. No,
So easy.
no, it wouldn't be enough to even warrant an in-depth conversation. It would be, hey, did you find what you liked, or did you find, oh, I love that outfit. Like, let's go salsa dancing. Obviously, not something we do. Not sure why I said that, but
We've never been
so
salsa dancing before.
okay. So, but it wouldn't even be. I already said it, but it wouldn't even require an in-depth conversation or a conversation that would make you feel restricted or anything like that.
So, Kevin, if that's the case, then why has your question to her repeatedly been how much?
I think that's because when she asking, I want to be able, like, how her question is, how much can I, like, essentially, how much can we put aside, how much can I have per month, or hey, I want to go do these things, and it's like, okay, how much? So I think my response has been not right, but in direct response, kind of speaking the same currency.
Yes. And would you say now that you think that's a productive way to answer her questions?
No.
No, hell no.
No.
She might come, so Laura might come and say how much.
Yeah.
But what she's really saying is what? What is she really saying when she came with that target question?
I'm trying to put it in a short sentence, but really just seeking out freedom and to kind of spend the money that she worked so hard for. I'm having a hard time with the exact question, trying to phrase it intelligently.
Well, that's okay. Good news because we have Laura right next to you. Laura,
Yeah,
again,
right.
when you ask that question, how much can I spend at Target? What are you really asking?
I think I'm just really asking, can I do something that I love? Like, can I just have something, like, I really would love to do this for myself.
Like, why not? Why can't we?
Why?
Why can't we?
Have it? Why not? What are we really? What is it what are we going to save it for? Like, just because it just goes into a big account, an account. Like, why not? I think why not is the pretty a question that I think kind of boils it all down.
Yeah. When I hear you both, I think that you both actually, again, have a similar vision, but because of the way you've been asking and answering questions, you are caught down here in the weeds. You're
Yeah.
caught down here in the $300 questions. And you didn't even realize it was a $300 question or a $3 question.
No, I didn't.
In your mind, Kevin, it's
No.
like, how much? Well, are we talking $50,000? But really,
Yeah.
it's
I didn't even put a monetary value on it.
exactly. And so
Yeah.
what we've done today is we flipped it from why to why not. Now, Laura, if you had come and said, I want to buy a Mercedes tomorrow, that's a different story. That's a larger amount. That's a bigger commitment. We should have a conversation and look at our numbers and plan for that. But based on your finances, if this is a $300 every so often conversation, and it's really financially, you're totally able to do it, right? It will not affect your lifestyle whatsoever. You're still going to be saving and investing towards your goals. It's actually meaningful to Laura. Then Kevin, what could you do if you agree that this is something that you feel comfortable with independently and as a unit? How could you respond to Laura's question about Target? What would be a better answer than how much?
And your question was about Target. Like, what's the question? I want to make sure I'm phrasing it. Like, how can I get what I need, or how?
Yeah, I think like, well, it was like, hey, I want to spend a few $100s. Can I spend, a few $100s at Target this month? Or like this weekend or whatever. I should say this weekend.
Yeah, so I'd say and my instinct is like,
You're having a really
if
hard
it's
time with
something
that.
you want, I'm trying to be honest. Of course, I
Yeah,
just
I
do
know,
lip
I know.
service, but it'd be like,
We've never had this
yeah,
conversation
like,
before, so this is like such
sure,
new territory
like,
for us to like.
yes. And
me
after
to
this,
ask that,
pretending if it's this weekend after this conversation, like, yeah, like, how often do you think that would be, though?
That's the same question, just in different words.
I know.
You're trying to get a
I hate
number.
myself for it. I hate myself for it.
Let me ask you this, Kevin. Number one, I got a few questions for you. Number one, do you think she's gonna go absolutely insane
No.
at Target and spend like 80 grand?
And no. And
No.
I
But your question suggests that.
know. And
Okay.
yeah.
So the good news is spiritually you don't think that, but you have a habit of going back to the same numerical question. And you tried to trick us. You didn't ask how much, you said how many times, so you could still run the calculation.
Yeah.
We got to get away from that.
Yeah.
Second question, what if one day Laura comes home and she dropped $900 at Target?
Yeah.
Now that's more than 300. At that point, what do you think would happen?
I think then we would have to have a discussion. Well, first, obviously, whatever she maybe loaded up on Christmas gifts for the next year,
Yeah.
Very well. And all of this talk about her spending money, she is a very financially savvy, like, I hate to come at it this way, but
I know your intentions,
I don't.
so I know.
If she were to spend $900, it would all depend on what it was. I would say if it were just out of the blue, maybe just knickknacks, things for the house, things that wasn't discussed even a little bit beforehand, just kind of was a shock. I would ask why.
Great. So you would have a discussion, and I trust that the two of you would be able to figure it out at that time. It's not like you're going to run out of money, and it's not like your retirement's going to be out the window and you're going to break up. maybe it wouldn't be within what you talked about. You have a discussion and you would figure it out. I feel very confident in that. So what do we know? We know that number one, Kevin, you trust Laura. Number two, we know that this decision is reversible. You can always change it or have a conversation about it. So what if you simply said, you know what? I understand, Laura, I can understand that if I went to Target and if I see something I like once in a while, I want to feel a little free to be able to get it. So, you know what? I think we should just agree. Would you feel comfortable if we just made a blanket agreement? Get whatever you want at Target, and once a month we'll do our financial review. And if there's something that's a little, different, we'll take a look. But I would love for you to feel free, whatever you need at Target, and then you and we can talk about the bigger picture at our monthly planning session. Kevin, how would that
But
feel?
yeah, what he said, I wish I had a stenographer to copy that down verbatim. But yes, yes,
Yeah.
we can. I know you're responsible, and it's your money too. It's our future. So,
Right.
and you plan for that also. So, if you see stuff you want, like, just get what you want, you see as you're going around, and then we'll, when we wrap up at the end of the month, if something sticks out, or maybe it was a little much, we can kind of put it out there and maybe scale it back, or maybe you didn't buy enough and maybe we
Or
bump
up
it up.
it.
There we go. Now we're talking. Okay. So I want to ask both of you as we sort of conclude this, what have been each of you, Laura first, then Kevin, what has been your biggest surprise today? Let's go Laura first, then Kevin. Again, what has been your biggest surprise today?
I think my biggest surprise has been pinpointing where this like spending trauma has come from for me. Because I always was like, why do I feel this way? Like, I didn't always feel like this. And it's not because he makes me feel that way. Like, I mean, if anything, I know like we've been coaching him on what to say or whatever and rephrasing things, but generally speaking, like I know his intent is to make me allow me to do those things. So I think surprising myself with realizing that how I feel is rooted more in just a previous financial trauma that I had. And like, I need to deal with that. And yeah, just like work on that for myself because that's me internalizing a lot of things about my own spending that isn't necessarily put on by him or like anyone else. It's just this dialogue that I have that I learned, a year and a half ago or so. And I just, it's like coming out. So that's a good
Love it.
surprise.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. Kevin, what about you? What was your biggest surprise?
My biggest surprise, without a doubt, was realizing how once you put it in the terms of feeling and money, asking hundreds of dollars, a few $100s, what it can give to Laura. I always had this detachment of the financial side and the emotional side, um, from my side, but putting myself in her shoes, and even looking at it is combining them, the value that just some spending, just spontaneous, and being able to feel free, like what that really can do for Laura, and not even realizing that very small potatoes decision was was really holding her back from a lot. Not a lot, but kind of holding her back emotionally and making her adding into that trauma also.
I think like his like rephrasing my question too makes me feel it kind of like is makes me feel more comfortable too, like having that financial conversation where it's not, you know, it kind of opens this door for us, I think. And I feel like a lot more understood and like valuing each other, like what we both want.
And one thing I want to add is all this discussions about her asking like me, but I do this. I have to have the same discussions with her.
Yeah, it does go both ways. It just happens to be about me and Target, but you know.
Yeah, I feel like I have to give myself an out with that.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to tell you what surprised me. First of all, I saw you on your video application, and I could tell that you two had a very close relationship. But watching the two of you show up and courageously do this in front of others, and watching you really grapple with this challenging conversation has made me even more pleasantly surprised by your relationship. It's incredible. You both are aligned. There's a couple little tweaks that we did today, but we can see that you both are pointed the same direction, and that is amazing. The other surprises that I noticed, Laura, I loved when you were assertive enough to say what you wanted, no caveats, no exceptions, just this is what I'm looking for. This is what I need. I loved it. It was my favorite part of what you said. And then Kevin, I have to say, I love that you kept going back to how much, how long, how many times. But then you started to see that sometimes the question involves zooming out. And Laura, I think you recognized your participation in this dynamic because you first of all, you asked, at least in this scenario, hey, and I know it's your money together. It's not one or the other, it's both of yours. But when you said, how, can I spend more at Target? It's asking a question that the natural answer is Kevin's answer, which is how much. So Kevin, it really took you some time, and then you did it to say, well, wait a minute, what's the real question here? Oh, wow, Laura's not really asking about a couple $100 because that's irrelevant. It's about feeling free. It's about knowing that we've saved money and we can use it for some simple things that make us feel free. And when I saw both of you two connect on that, that was it. That was when I knew. So I want to thank you both for doing this the first time we've ever done something like this. I would love if you send me an update in a few weeks. Let me know what's working. Let me know what's not. I'd love to hear from you again. And I just want to thank you. And for everyone watching, this is the first time we're trying this out. Kevin and Laura, let's give them a round of applause. They were so great. So great. You two are amazing. Keep us updated. And thank you everyone for watching tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is a game changer for us. You've made a difference for us.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks for being here. Bye, everybody.
Bye.